Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, we are ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
Please stand by for opening remarks.
Good morning, International Space Station from Lake Highland Preparatory School in Orlando, Florida. I am Vice Admiral Al Harms, and I have the privilege of serving as president of this amazing pre-kindergarten through 12th grade college preparatory school. We are honored today to participate in the in-flight education download with astronauts aboard the International Space Station. All 2,050 of our students, plus parents, employees, and alumni, are tuning in as we speak. Now, let's blast off with our first question today.
My name is Aptino. I'm in 2nd grade. My question is, how high can you float?
That's a great question. So on board the International Space Station, inside we can float, just like Megan is floating. So I guess the limitation is the wall or the ceiling on board the International Space Station. Right now, I guess we have some modules in the Russian segment. We have our own Crew Dragon on the top side of the station. So that could be the limit that we have.
Hi, my name is Soham. I'm in 5th grade, and my question is, how does it feel when you're taking off with all those G's?
That's a great question. The rocket launch was really exciting and fun. We don't pull more than about 3 or 4 Gs on ascent, though, which you might, if you've ever been on a roller coaster and gone around a really sharp bend, you might have felt as much as 3 Gs on a roller coaster. But for us, it lasts a little bit longer, and it does feel a little bit like someone's pressing you into the seat, or maybe even someone standing on your chest. But it doesn't last forever, just a little while, and then you're back to then you're weightless once the engine's cut off.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm in 7th grade, and my question is, how often do you fly over Florida?
Well, I think we fly over or close to Florida, a couple of times a day. You might not see us because you have the lighting should be just right for you to see. It should be darker on the ground, and then the sun needs to be hitting the International Space Station because we are not. We don't have lights outside. We're shining the sunlight off of us, and that's how you can see us. But we do fly over a couple of times. We try to take pictures as much as we can on our free time. But if it's cloudy, then we can't take a good picture.
My name is Rory. I'm in 8th grade, and my question is, can you talk about some of the experiments that you are doing to help our astronauts get ready for a Mars mission?
So people have been living and working on the International Space Station for over 20 years. And so a lot of the work that we do is going to inform the missions to the moon and to Mars. And so part of that is how do you survive in a micro G environment or even a lower G environment? It has impacts on the human body. And so what are those impacts? How do we make sure that our bodies stay healthy, our skeletons and our muscles? We also have impacts to our vision and things like that. So studying how the effects, long duration of living in space affect the body and how we can react and how we can do countermeasures for that. We also do lots of technology demonstrations. So we have to recycle and clean our air and our water, reuse our water, for example. And those are things that people are going to have to do on the moon and Mars as well. So up here we reclaim over 80% of our water, and there's an experiment that's being developed to see can we get that number up above 95 or even 98% so that we can be the most efficient with our resources. There's also a new experiment that just arrived last week I'm excited about, but we haven't seen it yet, that is a 3D printer that's going to use simulated regolith, so the material that's available on the moon, in order to try to print material that can be used for habitat. So I think that's really cool. I'm excited to see how that turns out.
My name is Carolyn, and I'm in pre-K. And my question is, how do you know when to go to bed when it's dark all the time?
Wow, that's a great question. So the International Space Station goes around Earth every one orbit every 90 minutes. So we have like 16 sunsets and sunrises every day. But on board, if you try to get away, get up at when the sun comes up, you're gonna have to go back and forth, and it's not gonna be lots of naps, and it won't be productive. So what we do is we have our watches, right, just like you guys do on the ground, and we do have the 24-hour day, and all our schedule is based on British time. It's Greenwich Mean Time, and we live off of that.
Hi, I'm Benjamin. I'm in 7th grade, and my question is, what protections does the space station have against micrometeorites and other small debris floating in low Earth orbit?
That's a great question. It's very important to be aware of the space debris that's out here with us. And part of that protection is built into the construction, the structure of the space station, the materials that were chosen and the way it was built. So there are, in certain areas, are thin protective layers that are spaced away from the pressurized module to disperse energy from any small micrometeorite hits that we get. Sometimes the solar arrays do get little hits, and that can impact their overall efficiency, but they're still working really, really well. And then other things, folks track on the ground, debris of a certain size, and if there's something that's too big, that there's a probability that it might come too close to us, they can go ahead and move the space station's orbit a little bit to make sure that we're safe. That doesn't happen very often, maybe once a year, probably even less than that.
I'm Jacob. I'm in 4th grade, and my question is, have you ever seen Beta Pictors?
Wow, I bet that's your favorite star, right? From up here, we see the night sky, the night space, actually, and we see a lot of stars, right? But unfortunately, I'm not a specialist in astronomy, so it's hard for me to take a look and know which one is which star. But next time I look out the window, I'll look for Beta Pictors.
Hello, my name is Sachi, and I'm in 2nd grade. My question is, how do you exercise up there at the space station?
Well, we have several different ways that we can exercise up here. As I mentioned before, it's important to keep our skeletons and our muscles really strong for when we come back to Earth. And so we have a machine that simulates kind of weightlifting. Of course, it's not lifting weights, but we call it a resistive exercise. And so that simulates the feeling of lifting weights, so we can keep our muscles and our bones strong. We also have some cardiovascular exercise that we do. We can either use a stationary bike or we can use a treadmill. The treadmill is interesting because you have to wear a harness and attach bungee cords basically to the part of the treadmill like where your feet run on it. And so it's a little bit different than a treadmill you might see on Earth, but it's fun to run up here as well as to do bicycling. You can spend half an hour and you've gone a third of the way around the world, so that's pretty cool.
My name is Jonah, and I'm going into 4th grade, and I want to be the first astronaut on Mars since I was 3 years old. What advice do you have for kids that want to be astronauts?
That's a great question. So I think as astronauts, we have to be healthy, and you're going to have to work very, very hard. You will make mistakes. You will hit the wall sometimes, but you just have to continue working hard and overcome that. We have things breaking down on orbit. Some things will not go according to plan, but we have to work together. and as a team on board, and also with the flight controllers on the ground, and we all work together to overcome those challenges. So, you should welcome all the challenges and try to overcome it.
My name is Levi. I'm in 7th grade, and my question is, do you think pets will ever be able to travel into space?
Well, I think up here pets might be a little bit confused in a micro-G environment to try to figure out how to move around. But I think, if we keep going the way we're going and more people become interested in living and working and traveling in space, that you may see in the future on habitats, perhaps on the moon or maybe even on Mars one day. I think this is far in the future, but I know that humans like to have pets with them. And so if we have an environment that would be comfortable for pets, then I think that might happen eventually. Aki's showing you our pet that we have up here.
My name is Ryan. I'm in 12th grade, and my question is, what item do you wish you had from home to make your life easier while residing on the International Space Station, and why?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think we have pretty much all the essentials on board. We have food, we have water, we have all the clothing, office supplies, batteries, electricity. So we're comfortably living up here. But I guess we do miss our families. So not an item, but maybe if we can, like to bring our families and friends up here. It's going to be a little crowded, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
Hi, my name is Drake. I'm in the 5th grade, and my question is, do you heal from cuts and bruises differently in space than on Earth?
So we do sometimes heal a little more slowly from cuts and bruises. Scientists have seen changes in immune system and changes in healing in space, and that's something that people study. One study looks at, can you have a wound patch that might directly administer antibiotics to a wound to help it heal faster, which of course would be beneficial to people on Earth as well. So our bodies do behave a little bit differently in micro-G, and scientists are still trying to figure out all the different ways and why.
Hi, my name is Jack, Lake Highland class of 2011. As an average person, docking a space shuttle to an international space station is almost an unfathomable life experience. My question is, what was the first thought you had when the doors finally
Well, so it takes a couple of hours to maybe a day to from launch to docking and opening the hatch. So during that time frame, you're in either a Crew Dragon, a Soyuz nowadays, and a couple of years ago it was a space shuttle. But you're in there. It's okay, but the space station is a lot bigger. So when you open the hatch, first of all, you're so happy to see your friends' faces, whoever's on board already and waiting to welcome you. And it's a great feeling to see them. But once you transition from that capsule to the space station, you got to watch out because it's too big and you can tumble and hit things. So that was my impression of the space station when I first entered it. It was just too big.
My name is Allie, and I'm in 1st grade. My question is, what is your favorite food on the space station?
Well, I have a couple of favorite foods on the space station, and one of them is the chicken salad with pineapple that is super tasty. It's a dehydrated food that I add water to and then put in the fridge, and I'll put it in a tortilla, and it's like having a chicken salad sandwich. That's pretty yummy. I also like some of the dehydrated fruit salads that we have. There's strawberries and other kinds of berries, but I'll tell you what, one of my favorites on Earth and in space is still peanut butter, so I'm pretty glad that the food lab sends us up peanut butter from time to time.
My name is Vian, and I am going into 1st grade. My question is that, can you see sunset and sunrise from the International Space Station?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we can see the sunset and sunrises from the International Space Station, and it's beautiful because, from daylight to night or vice versa, the color changes surrounding you. Every second, the color changes. And, if you're coming from night to daytime and during sunrise, all the darkness changes and you see like the color changing from like black to blue to orange, and you can see the sun rising, taking a peek from the Earth horizon. So it's really beautiful.
My name is Ruwen and I'm in pre-K. My question is, how long have each of you been on the space station?
Well, Aki tells me that today we've been on the space station for 120 days. So I've been on the space station for 120 days, but Aki has been here before for a whole 6-month mission. So how many days is it for you?
So I think total would be about 240 days or so.
Twice as much.
Twice as much, yes.
Nice.
My name is Sierra and I am in 12th grade. My question is, what experiments are you working on that relate to the treatment of cancer?
That's a great question and a very important one too. So on board the International Space Station, we do help out some of the development of medicine, and we don't make medicine here, but what we do here is using this microgravity environment and grow protein crystals. You can grow them on the ground as well, but without gravity, you get larger chunks of pure protein crystals. So we do that, and then we send it down to the ground, and the researchers on the ground will take a look at it and think about how to create good medicine for cancer, for other sickness as well. So that's how we are trying to contribute to that cause.
Hello, my name is Charlie. I'm in 2nd grade. My question is, how long does it take to go to the space station?
Well, from the time we lift off to the time we reach what we call low Earth orbit, which means that our spaceship is in orbit and it won't come back down to the Earth right away. It'll keep going around. That takes about 8 minutes. And at that point, all the big rockets shut off and you are in space, and you have that micro-G effect. You're floating as your ship goes around and around. And then in our case, we spent about the next day, about 23 hours, doing a series of burns to help us catch up to the space station and get into the same orbit as the space station and dock with it. So it a little bit depends on where the space station is when you launch, and how much fuel you want to spend. Those are the kinds of things that impact how quickly you can get to the space station. But it takes about a day.
My name is Shrey, and I am in 5th grade. My question is, how long do you have to train for your mission?
So as astronauts, we're training all the time. So the moment you get selected as an astronaut candidate, and even now we train. Even on board the space station, we do have some onboard training. So we train all the time. But in particularly for a certain mission, maybe right now it's about a year to 2 years. We train about our spacecraft, about the International Space Station, train robotics, spacewalks, and also about the science, and make sure that we know some medical activities as well.
Thank you, astronauts. The entire Lake Highland community thanks you immensely for this extraordinary opportunity. As we prepare the leaders of tomorrow, we sincerely appreciate this unforgettable experience and exposure to true space heroes. Stay safe, and God bless you and your families.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.